is a general discussion about mental health. It is not to be interpreted as specific advice for a specific situation. Every situation is unique and requires advice to be tailored and adapted to that situation. All information in this broadcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for professional mental health services. If you or a loved one are experiencing mental health distress, please speak to a licensed professional in your area.
Living well. It's time to shine that light that lives in you. Living well. It's not too late to change. It's time to be the change. Living well. It's time to shine that light that lives in you. Living well. It's not too late to change. It's time to be the change.
Living well takes a community. So remember to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share with a friend. I'm Dr. Erica Holmes, and this is Living Well, where we attend to the mind, the heart, the body, and the soul. You know what February is? Yes, it's Black History Month, and it's also often known as the month of love. So we're gonna do something special for you this month. We are gonna celebrate Black love, Christian style. We have a series of episodes dedicated to all things love. Whether you are trying to get in love, whether you are in love and wanna stay in it, or whether you've recently lost love, we have something just for you. So we encourage you to stay tuned and enjoy this series. We are sure that you will be blessed. I'm over the moon ecstatic about it. And we're sure that when you finish watching this, you will have something that can lead you into the next leg of your love journey. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So are you ready for Black love, Christian style? Well, we certainly are. We are joined by three wonderful couples who are ready to tell it all. So sit back, relax, and get ready to hear all of the insides of how to not only get married, but to stay married and be happy and healthy as you do it. So let me introduce them right quick. Over here, we have Rico and Anita.
Hello. Hello.
Next to me, we have Dino and Diane. Hi. And last but not least, we have Jimmy and Shawnee. Thank you all so much for being here with us. We are so happy to have you here today and hear about your love story. It's all about the love story. So let's just start off with something simple. Start off by telling us how long you've been in a relationship, how long you've been married, and how you first met. 3 quick questions. Boop, boop, boop. Who wants to start?
Let the newbies go.
All right, newbies.
We'll take it. So we've been in a relationship going on 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And we're going on 5 years being married.
Okay.
We met 2006, freshman orientation in college.
Oh.
Nothing earth-shattering, just, hey, how you doing? And as time progressed, friendship then formed into a relationship. And 5 years, almost 5 years, and 1 kid later, here we are.
Oh, all right.
I did not like him, though. Let's start.
Uh-oh. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
It's mutual, trust me, it's mutual.
Exactly. All right, so we had the newbies. Now let's go to our teens here. Let's go to our team.
We've been knowing each other for almost 25 years. Is that about right? And we've been married 17 years. We met on the job, and again, we did not like each other when we first met. I thought she was so sedity, and she thought I was just whatever she thought. And then one day we started dating, and then the day I realized I was going to be in a relationship with her, I quit the job because I can't date someone that I work with. Ooh. And this is a smart move. And we've been together and happy. We've been happy ever since. Happily.
All right. I'm like, I don't even want to get into it, but I'm like, quitting the job, then we gonna date. I don't know. Okay, but it worked. Oh, okay. Thank you for clearing that up, because I was like,
I left the job and went on the street. I'm gonna
Be with you.
anything.
Interestingly, he quit the job, and I didn't know he had left the job. So that's a story we can talk about later.
Are you sure you didn't know?
that's the story within the story. All right, so we had our newbies, we had our teens, and now we're going over here to our veterans in this thing.
Yes. Well, we met, actually, I was a senior in high school, and she was a sophomore in college. So, I was stepping up. But yeah, no, we've been together for 35 years, and we've been married for 33 years.
Wow.
We got married when I was just a wee little lad. But no, this one thing I do have to say. So I played for my dad is pastor. I played for our church, played the piano for our church. And so she came in our church, a little small church, about 200 people. So you knew everybody. I grew up with everybody and all that kind of stuff. So there's this new fresh meat coming in. I was like, let me
There
see
you go.
this. So, but I held back. I watched her for a little while. And then it was like, she said that it was like the last day she was going to come because no young people had talked to her. But I went up and, talked to her. I said, hey, my name's Jimmy. And she said, hi, my name's Shawnee. Now we're standing right by my mom, who's the first lady. And we're, going out. And I just, thought I'd be impressive. Like, that's my mom. The one that you saw up in the pulpit, that's my mom, So I said, hey, Mom, this is Shawnee. Shawnee, this is my mom. And my mom looked at Shawnee and she said, she is too old for you.
Oh.
First thing that came out my mom's set me back like 6 months.
And I said, I don't know him, and I don't know you, and I'm definitely not interested.
Run.
That's so interesting. You just said, and I'm definitely not interested. He said he sat back for a while. I'm listening like it wasn't love at first sight. It wasn't like, it was kind of like this slow burn. Yeah. So, sitting where you are now, being married, having children, being married in relationships, what do you think about this idea of kind of like love at first sight? Like, is that a reality? Is that a fantasy that people get caught up in?
What I will say about love at first sight is that I think we are attracted to people, all types of people, by our sight. You see something and it's interesting and you look at it and you think, oh, I like the way that looks. But I don't think that is what really drives our behavior. I think that drives our interest. And some people say that they fell in love at first sight. Well, their love a lot of times don't last. So was it love or was it interest or was it lust? I don't know. I personally don't believe in love at first sight. I believe that the love gets stronger the longer that you are together.
Yeah, we on the same page with that. I believe I can love how you look forever when I first see you. As long as you look good, I love how you look. But that doesn't mean if there's no substance or there's no real grounding to how you are as a person. No, I'm not going to love somebody who don't necessarily deserve my love. Next question.
What do you guys think about that?
I agree with him. I think it is to say love, it's just an expression because you won't really know love until you've really walked and lived with that person in terms of a relationship. So it is attraction. I think it definitely needs to happen. And, I definitely was attracted to Shawnee at first sight. Otherwise,
Right.
yeah, we wouldn't be here. And she was attracted to me. Don't get to it. Do not get to
How
it.
could she
My
not
mom
be,
messed
Jimmy?
it up for a little bit. But, yeah,
Attracted
don't
was
get
too
it
strong.
twisted. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. I do feel like there is something to say when you meet somebody, right? You are instantly attracted maybe to their personality, or, you know, you have similar interest in things or something like that. But like everyone else, as you grow and build on that, I think that it becomes, you know, something stronger. At first sight, maybe, but I think like everyone said, it's just like that peak of interest, like, oh, she looks good, or oh, he's cute, so let me, you know, explore a little bit more. But it really is until you get into the thick of things, like, do you love my morning breath?
Right.
Do you love that I don't put the dishes away? Like, you know,
Right.
those types of things is, I think, when you really start to see the love part of it, because that's also fleeting sometimes too, because I might not like you all the time.
Right.
All the time.
All the time.
All the time, but you know. But yeah, so
That's good. So you guys are kind of like all on the same page. And given that you each have talked about having some time and again, talking about this slow burn and how we build. So now you're into 5 years of marriage, but you have a 15 plus, you know, relationship and, 17 years and forever, you know. So thinking about marriage, we know that all couples have something, you know, that they go through. So what is that one thing that like keeps you guys, what I would say, keep you on your knees? That one thing that you find in marriage that you have to continue to work on. You know what I mean? Because we know challenges come, but there's always something to work on. What's that one thing? Sometimes, you know, I don't know, it might be finances, whatever it might be. That one thing that keep you going before the Lord.
communication.
Okay.
We are very much so shutdowners.
Okay.
Okay, if something's bothering us, we're learning. But we do shut down sometimes, and it'll take a little bit of time before we, really talk about what the issue is or something like that. And I think that also speaks to the friendship that we had at first. We have this thing where we'll say like truth moment, which means whatever I say after, that person just has to listen. And you can't get, emotional, like you have to respond after listening, after hearing, that person. And we really kind of developed that once we realized that shutting down was not working for us.
Right.
And it was just so contentious sometimes, and especially because he was my best friend. So when we met, we had 3 years of friendship, and then, it progressed, and it was a slow burn, at least for me, because I'm like, you're my best friend. If something happens, we break up. Now I'm losing my best friend, and I don't want to do that, and so we had to kind of make the decision to go back to friendship as well, because when we were friends, we used to just say whatever, however, when we were talking to each other, and so when we got married, it was like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this is bothering me, so you tiptoe, right? And so I think after year, maybe like 2, going into 3, we were just like, this is not working. Like we are consistently talking about communication, how we talk to each other, not what you say, how you say it.
Right.
Because I'm very much so quick on the tongue and ready, right? So
And to add to that, and to add to that, not only communication but healthy communication, because we can communicate it, but if it's not beneficial to the relationship,
Right.
then we're kind of stagnant.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that we've implemented into our marriage, we now see a therapist, and that has increased our marriage communication 10 times, because we knew going into this marriage, we wanted to stay married.
Yeah.
We didn't want to get to year 50 and we're sleeping in 2 separate rooms,
Right.
and still providing the image in public that all is well.
yeah.
We want to make sure that the home, the internal relationship was still intact, but healthy communication,
Yeah.
most importantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, because the communication is something that I think we all still trying to work out, in marriages. So, well, what about for you guys? That's something that you still have to try to work out. Sometimes it might be finances for some, blended families for somebody. Communication. Yeah. Anything else?
I would say for me, it's being a woman and heading the household, because there's so many more things that a woman has to do within the household. A man only goes to work and usually provides, and he cooks and cleans at times. But then there's all those other things, the family gatherings, the holidays, the planning, the bills, the just so many things. And so as a woman trying to handle all of these things and to still be happy when he comes home and to keep the house, it's a lot. And so I go on my knees a lot to God to just maintain a pleasantness in the household while still, doing the bills and getting Christmas cards out and getting ready for the holidays and making sure that he has what he needs. And that is one of the things that I think a lot of women struggle with, because the marriage will sometimes suffer if you haven't put all of those things in perspective and how you're going to handle them. You just get resentful and you start acting out in the marriage. And I work really hard and I stay on my knees to be able to take care of all of those things within the household and still be a good and pleasant wife.
Yeah, my wife is in a very unfortunate situation in being married to me, because and I know that sounds facetious, but I know the type of person that I am. I'm very loving and I'm devoted 100% to my wife, but she's absolutely right. It's the little things of life that I could not possibly care less about. And again, that's just a testament to God and his wisdom, because he couldn't have put me with someone that was like me, because then we would be homeless. But he put me with someone, the yin to my yang, my better half, however you want to say it. And I do appreciate that. I know I don't say it enough or express it enough, but I will say this to all of America. I'm the entire planet. I'm lucky and I know it, and I'm sorry. I'm gonna do this.
So Dino, what keeps you on your knees though? Because it's not just a woman thing.
Well, what keeps me on my knees is in the marriage. It's very difficult. It's for me. It's trying to maintain a certain level of diligence in providing for my family, my wife, and so that's why I'm always focused on work or things that make sure that she lives a certain type of life that I want her to have. My mother grew up very poor. I come from a very poor area of the country, and I promised myself I was only going to be married once, and when I got married, I was going to treat that woman the best that I could, and I'm singularly focused on that. And I know a lot of times I probably shouldn't be, because she's very easy. I mean, she's happy with a lollipop. She'll laugh at clouds. She's a very simple woman. But I know when and how I'm blessed, and that's how I manifest it. I just try to provide not just for her, but for the entire family, my kids, our grandkids, parents, even friends. If I can be the patriarch of, undergirding her as she takes care of all of us, and I'm absolutely 100% willing to do that.
All right, thank you.
For me, I feel it's been different stages and different times of our lives that I've been on my knees for different things. I remember the first 10 years of our marriage, a major argument we would always have was moving back to Washington State, because that's where Jimmy was from. I only went to college there, so moving back was not moving back. I never was from there. And his mother, because, he came to California to go to college, and his mother was like, you got to come back because you are a musician. You're supposed to go to school, come back. And it was like, no, now we're in Faithful Central. Now we're doing our lives. We're living our lives. And that was an instant argument. I mean, there was bribery. We'll help you buy a house. We'll help you do. It was like, no, no. And he didn't get it. And for me, I was like, he's from 14 siblings. And out of the 14, 12 were divorced. And they all lived back in the area. And I'm like, no. And I said, I said,
in the water.
Yeah, exactly. And I said, because I knew Church of God in Christ, that whole you're in revival every week. I said, if we have something planned and it's I gotta go because we got to do this revival, that's the 10th of the month, I wouldn't last long. I wouldn't. And I said, if God told us to move back to Washington, I'd go. But your mama is not God. So that was, for me, that was an instant argument.
Yeah.
Instant, that I was on my knees constantly.
And it was, in that sense, it wasn't as bad in terms of, oh, I can't wait to go, I need to go back home. But what was the argument for me was Shawnee didn't trust me. She was like, I don't trust you to lead us. And that was the big thing for me. But then again, I'm 20, 21, 22. I went from living in a dorm with a dude to living with a woman. You know what I mean? So I couldn't say, that I had all of this knowledge of this is what we're going to do for our family. But I do agree with her. It was something that I kept saying, God, I want you to help me, but I'm supposed to be leading, and this girl ain't going nowhere. Not even the possibility. That was my biggest argument. I'm not saying we're going. But what if I said we're going? You know what I mean? I'm going because you're not going. And that was a prayer. But I finally, obviously, I knew that God had called us down here, and eventually came to Faithful. And I had told my parents, I'm not coming back. This is my life, and they celebrated our decision. So it wasn't that they hated what we did. They celebrated it. And every time we came home, oh, this is our son and daughter from LA, stuff like that. So yeah.
Ooh, I'm glad y'all didn't leave.
Right?
That's really amazing, because sometimes pressure from family can really weigh in on a relationship. And I think, let's talk a little bit about family, right? At different stages of your relationship, you just said you have a baby, new baby. You talked about kids and grandkids. We know that you all have kids. How is it trying to parent or co-parent in your marriage? When the kids become a part of your marriage, oftentimes marriages shift, right? It was just you and I. I know I'm married and I'm a blended family. So we didn't start off with just you and I. It was you and I and picking up school kids and all of that, but trying to figure out, coming from two different families, right? Like my husband came from a 2-parent household. Parents were married for 50-something years. My mother was never married. So I never lived in the household with a man. I never saw a man parent. So I could yell at the kids, but when he would yell, I'm like, what are you, right? So I really want to hear about how parenting, whether it's your children or I don't know if they're blended families up here, but just how parenting came in and impacted how you had to move in your marriage.
Well, let me say, I think we were blessed in one sense, and that is that for me, coming from a big family, I didn't want a big family. So we have one girl and one boy. That's all I wanted. But I wanted to, be in their life. And I think one of the things that we had started early on, we waited 5 years before we had our first child because we needed to get through. We needed to get through some stuff. And so that really solidified us as husband and wife, to the fact that when we had our daughter, Jamae, our first child, when we drove home from the hospital, she was in the back seat. She wasn't between us in the front seat, and Shawnee got in the back and that kind of thing. And that's how we lived. It was us against them. And
we learned that from Jimmy's mom.
Yeah.
She said it's us, the husband and wife, versus the kids. Not versus, but
yeah.
No, you're right. Versus.
And so honestly, I took that to heart throughout our whole marriage, that it's us because I don't want to wake up one day and say, who are you?
Right,
Because
right,
I
right.
doted on them so
Right,
much.
right.
And so I took that. So to this day, 33 years later, our kids have never sat between us. They sat on either side of us, even when we travel. In front of us, behind us, to the side of us. Never between us. And that's just something that I really take to heart about.
Yeah, because we wanted them to see, my family is blended, and we wanted them to see a unit, in us being one. And there's enough that, is being married, enough that will pull you apart.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so just to have that mindset that it is us, it's, one. So my kids have been blessed to see that. So
Yeah,
that's it.
I know my mother-in-law often would tell my husband and his sister, "I'm not gonna let y'all kill me and my husband." Like that was always her moniker. When I heard that, I was like, "Okay, okay." It was. You're perceptive. Okay. Thoughts about kids, parenting, how that comes up in marriage.
Well, we got married later in life, and so we both had children, and we blended very well. I just believed that he was a good enough man that he would take care of my kids. And I have boys. He had a son, and our sons just blended really perfectly. Boys are so much easier, and so I don't think they've ever had an argument. I've never seen the boys have fights or arguments. And I think that that's a testament to the fact that the household is united, and the way that I run our household from my perspective is we don't have to fight when we can communicate. And so I've communicated with my children very well as they grew up, and it really is amazing, because when I would sneak and hear some of their arguments with some of their girlfriends when they were younger, I could see the impact that I had on their lives. My sons would be the ones who were making the most sense. The girls would be acting crazy, and the boys would be bringing they would be bringing the wisdom, and I would be like, yes. So we didn't really have any issues with blending our family at all. And it's just a blessing, because that can be very difficult on trying to have in a relationship, and it's difficult on the kids as well.
Yes, that's so
Most
true.
definitely.
So true.
Yeah, we were great. So
I think for us, just being parents is just a blessing. Prior to us getting engaged, my then girlfriend, physician told her she had a 50% chance of even bearing a child. So that then started the conversation of being a foster parent, or figuring out how to make that come to fruition. And after we got married, we tried, and nothing was working. So we literally got to a point in our relationship where we had to figure it, okay, maybe this is not the route. And then by the grace of God, we got good news.
When we stopped trying.
When we stopped trying.
Yeah, that's what
And
they
I
say.
stopped stressing.
They often say that.
And I just said, all right, let's
Because we
just-
were literally trying to,
just
like, what the heck is going on? So just to even be a parent is a blessing for us. And it's something that we don't take for granted. The beauty in it is that we have both of our parents who are still alive. My parents are just maybe 10 minutes away from us. Her parents is literally across the street.
Yeah.
So we have enough support.
That
I call it the city because the input is it's been so beneficial for us, especially for it being our first time being parents. And our parents have been very gracious with us and very patient with us, not stepping on our toes, not trying to be overbearing, but provide wisdom and insight when needed. And it's worked out beautifully, only by the grace of God.
Now, I will say just specifically for our marriage, just being first time parents, because we still, I think, are learning each other too as husband and wife every month.
Every day.
Every day. So becoming first time parents, it blew our minds. Okay. It was, like he said, a blessing, yes. But then I also, as a first time mom, struggled with postpartum. So there was a lot of blame that came from me as far as not being able to help him with the baby because I was recovering, right? So it's like now he has to do everything by himself, and he has to take care of the baby, and he has to take care of the house, and I'm just sitting here, and I really had to lean on him. But I think that strengthened our relationship as well, because it also kind of opened my eyes to, oh, he got it. We good. I can relax, you know, and because that was our first time being, you know, in that type of situation, it really kind of opened up my eyes to who my husband is and how he can lead and take, you know.
Come on, Iz.
How
Keep talking. Keep talking.
How he can lead, you know, our family, and I can relax. And I think that for me was the first time seeing that and experiencing that too, because I had, you know, previous relationships that don't matter, but being able to just witness who he is as a husband and as a dad, it really just comforted me and made me really thankful that, you know, God had blessed me with someone, like, you know, said, that is the yin, because it wouldn't work any other way. So I think for our marriage, you know, it just really strengthened us, and we do also us, then baby, like top of the year, when is date night, through the year, who we asking, because we're gonna plan date night around our lives, not our lives around date night. So,
And if I could add to that, we literally just a few weeks ago just mapped out our dating calendar. So we've chosen a specific day each month when to date. So it builds the anticipation, it builds the excitement versus, okay, when we going on a date, you know, we already know. Right.
Go, you know,
We wanted to get ahead of the curve versus trying to catch up. And it's working out.
All right, for planning. All right.
I told you we trying to do things different.
Day by
we're
day.
learning.
I'll give anything a shot.
Oh my goodness, y'all are dropping some gems and some wisdom and all of that. You know what? Now, our time is run out for right now, but I think we need to keep this conversation going. So we hope that you have enjoyed the conversation and that you've gotten a few gems or nuggets that can help you in your current marriage and help you, if you're not married now, for the future to come. So as you know, we always like to leave you with a resource, something that you can kind of follow up on and learn more about what we're discussing. Today, we want to kind of shepherd you to look at a book called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman. You can look at it on Amazon. It's a really good book, gives you some ideas on how to kind of keep your marriage and your communication healthy and how to begin to work through conflict. So look that up. Just Google John Gottman. His books will come up for you. So check that out. Look through that until we see you again next week. We pray that you are living well. For more information and resources, be sure to check us out at normalizehelp.org. And you can always email us at livingwell@faithfamily.org to get a question answered or to tell us a story. You never know, your question might make it to air or be the subject of one of our episodes. See you next week.
It's not too late to change, it's time to be the change. It's time to shine that light that lives in you. It's not too late to change, now it's time to change. Now it's time to change, now it's time to change. Now it's time to change, time to change, time to change.